The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views and positions of the agency.
Welcome to DYCD Next Gen. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Cooks. Our monthly podcast features the very latest on everything DYCD has to offer, and we go right to the heart of the story, speaking to young people and New Yorkers about the issues they face in their daily lives. As we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of DYCD Next Gen, we have a very special guest for our final episode of 2025, Deputy Mayor for Strategic Initiatives, Almanzar. Deputy Mayor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan.
Did I get the name right?
You got it perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Before we get into your very inspirational story, let's start by talking about your role as Deputy Mayor. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, how does that position support the mayor and the agencies that you oversee, including DYC?
Oh, thank you, Ryan. And being a Deputy Mayor has been, and it still is, the most challenging yet most enjoyable job I've ever had. And as a Deputy Mayor, and in this instance, Mayor Adams has several of us, and each of us has a set of agencies and mayoral offices that report into us. Our job is to stay close to those offices and agencies to understand their needs. But it's also for us to troubleshoot some of the issues and challenges that we face as a city and mitigate those both with the leadership team and also with the agency to find solutions to those problems. In our case, I had the great honor of being the Deputy Mayor for DYCD and having the opportunity to work with young people and to try to solve the challenges that young people face, all the way from the need for after school to summer rising to understanding the need for them to be engaged with employment and being able to provide that for so many young people throughout the summer has been for the last 2.5 years and the honor of a lifetime.
So you have an incredible life story about coming to New York City and building a life and career. Could you share that story with us and just go through what was life as a young person for you?
You're gonna take me back there, Ryan, aren't you? I was
Throwback Thursday, you know.
Right, that's right. Good, yes. Throwback Thursday, indeed. I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. I moved to New York with some of my siblings, my mom and I, to reunite with my dad, who had been living in New York for about 7 years. My dad immigrated by himself. When he was 52 years old, he didn't have a driver's license and he didn't speak English. And somehow, by just pure wisdom and strength and work ethic, he was able to petition for my mom, my siblings, and I. And we were able to come to New York and start our life here. For me, it was different. I was almost 18 years old when I landed in Bushwick, in Brooklyn. Wow. A very small Latino community in Bushwick. It was mostly African American. So I found myself a bit isolated because I didn't speak one word of English when I first got here. But as a 17-year-old, with dreams, with having left all of my friends and my extended family back in the Dominican Republic, was a very challenging time. It was sad, and I remember crying for most of my first 6 months until I found a job at a factory in Bushwick. And I worked at a factory. I did the best I could. I gave it my all, like I've done for most of my career. I guess all of the jobs I held thus far. And I did such a great job at the factory. They kept in contact with me. Even after I left, they would bring work for me to do at home. But I knew that working in a factory, although it was an honorable job, a job that helped me pay my bills as a young 18-year-old woman, right? Whatever money you get is extra. And I was able to help my family both in New York and those that I left behind. I understood that my father's sacrifices and my mother's sacrifices weren't for me to stop working just at a factory, that I have to look at the gamut of opportunities that the city had to offer. And then I registered at a nonprofit in Brooklyn. And that's where I started to, for the first time, start drawing sort of the lines of the American dream by starting to learn the language. My first English class, they said homework. I was like, oh God, what is that? I know what home is. I know what work is. But the compounder word, it was the beginning of a very challenging trajectory
it's a lot. It's very complex because a lot of English words they sound the same but have like different meanings and everything. It's
like the word
hard to grasp.
advice, like it's a noun, it's a verb. Why can it be just one thing, right?
Right.
Or people use the word, for example, often, and you get someone who pronounces the F very heavy, and other people don't, like often and often. It's like, which one is it? Or the word Wednesday that has a D in the middle. Like, why English is difficult? Or the idioms that I still don't get. I still remember when I was in college, someone at the dorm, the fire alarm went off. And someone said, oh, get out of the building, the fire alarm is going off. And I was like, no, it's going on because you can actually hear it. It was off before, it is on now. But anyways, wow. I divert. But that was the challenges of the English language. Yes.
So, I mean, aside from like language barriers and everything, like, was there any other challenges that you faced when your family moved to New York?
Being a young person and not having friends at the very beginning, that was very challenging. My siblings who traveled with us, I traveled with 4 of my brothers and 1 of my sisters, 10 of us. So 6 of us traveled with my mother, 1 trip, 7 family members left together. But my siblings, one who's older than I, he got a job, made friends very quickly. He spoke English somewhat, so he was able to make friends. And my younger siblings got to go to school, middle school and elementary school. And there, naturally, you make friends. But for a 17-year-old girl who left everybody she knew behind, being isolated, I know that it was the most difficult thing to do and to get used to making new friends. But it also taught me that if you have a great attitude, if you are honest, you can make friends and build relationships everywhere you go. And as long as you're willing to give and to take, like every relationship you have, then you find friends everywhere.
And also, like, I just want to speak a bit about, it has been very important to Mayor Adams that the government reaches diverse communities in the languages that they speak. How is that important to you personally and into your role as deputy mayor?
In many ways, I remember we had a press conference a few days ago, and I got up to the podium. And I remember when I was announced, the first words I said, they were in Spanish. And it was thanking God for giving me the opportunity to be and to take in that moment with my family and I, with my group of my best friends that were there. And then for our very last press conference that happened on Tuesday, the whole administration was there. I got to the podium again, and I said, good morning in English, and I greeted everyone in Spanish. So the duality of who I am as a foreign-born American and someone who's bilingual, whenever I had the opportunity to meet young people, I try to help them understand that I'm not special. I don't have 2 brains. Yes, I speak 2 languages, unfortunately enough, but I still make mistakes in English. So the job that I do it with the skills that I have, and it doesn't take someone with 3 brains to do it. And that is the gift that Mayor Adams allow us all just to bring who we are and all of it to City Hall. So I walk around City Hall and I speak Spanish to my colleagues who are from Latin America. I say good morning to the police officer who's from Italy in Italian. So that camaraderie, that idea that we all have a place at City Hall is the message of this administration. That if you work hard, you're willing to make some difficult sacrifices to be able to work 24/7, you have the biggest honor of your life to be able to serve your fellow New Yorkers and to give back to the city that gave me everything. So absolutely, yes. Thank you.
That's great. And over the last 4 years, during this administration, as the mayor likes to say, like, we got stuff done.
Yes.
Everything. So, like, what accomplishments are you like most proud of?
Wow, there are many. How long do we have, Ryan?
We can start on the list. We can go.
We can go. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep it concise, precise, and clear. I'll start with one that touches young people the most. Right, we serve 100,000 summer youth employment program. We have done that subsequently every year since I started, and that's a growth. It was 75 when Mayor Adams took office. Like, we have to do better, and he and the administration worked to bring the total number to 100,000. That's 100,000 students and young people that get the opportunity to start developing the soft skills that you need, showing up on time, dressing up professionally, shaking somebody's hand, looking people in the eye, and the training on the finances as well. That's so important. That makes me very proud. The work that we did to secure funding for our Summer Rising, the funding that was supported with federal dollars and is now being funded with city tax levy. But I am so proud that we got to work with so many team members at DYCD who are serving the youth, including the team that worked with me to provide a briefing for our budget director and everyone at City Hall, explain the importance of our after-school program. And we were able to secure $331 million for that program.
Wow.
That's historical, because Mayor Adams understands that his mission was to make the city safer, the safest, biggest city in America, and also to make New York City the best place to raise a family. And after school was a key element in that mission. So he invested that to bring the total amount to $755 million invested in after school to serve 184,000 students. And I met a group of them last month. We went to PS 35 in the Bronx, and I met the students who are now taking advantage of the program that we brought to the Bronx, to that school in particular, the first time that school has a program. And I met a young man and woman who made this beautiful sign welcoming Commissioner Howard and I, and thanking us for the work that we did to bring that program. There's so many moments that I can, if I can encapsulate in a bottle, I will take with me everywhere I go, and I'm sure I will. But the work that we did for the nonprofit sector too, we secured $5 billion to make sure that we pay the nonprofit on time, and so on. And the work that we did bringing healthy foods to public schools, the work that we did with every child and families known, making sure that our students in the Bronx who are in shelters, they had one caring adult that connected with them every week, 3 times a week, to make sure that they were showing up to school and that they had what they needed in order for them to successfully show up to school. So there are many things. I'm going to stop with that. But thank you for that question. That's great. I'm proud of everything we've done in this administration.
That's great.
And
And
I am proud of the trust that Mayor Adams put, in me, that he invested in giving me the opportunity to serve the city that I love. And I'm just grateful to him and to the New Yorkers, to all New Yorkers who trusted, 8.5 million New Yorkers who trusted in us, that we'll do the best we could, and that we did.
I know you spoke a bit about meeting kids from these programs,
Yes.
just meeting young people all across the city. But what was the most valuable lesson and most impactful moment that you learned from youth and just interacting with kids?
One thing that we did as an administration was to make sure that we, and the mayor was also emphasizing that we visited communities, that we just weren't sitting in City Hall, right? And there's a lot to do in City Hall, and you just put your head down and get the work done. But you had to go and see the work, meet the people that are benefiting from the work that you're doing in City Hall. And with that, I asked the team, I want to go to every single borough. I want to go to Staten Island. I want to go to the Bronx. I want to go to here in Manhattan, Washington Heights, which we did. I want to go to Queens. And we did. And then I said, but I want to go to my hometown. I want to go to Bushwick. And last summer, Daniel, who's in charge working with Suzanne on Summer Rising, he took me to a school in Bushwick, my hometown, very, very near my house. And I went in, and the whole purpose of the visit was just to see the program working, how they do what they do in providing a continuation of the school year throughout the summer for our 110,000 children that we serve in Summer Rising. And I remember this young man, we walked into the classroom, it was an art class. Mm-hmm. Some teachers have the magic touch to make things fun when they're actually difficult. And the art class was a geometry class, and the teacher gave a project to the student to measure your block. And the idea was for them to draw a picture of all the businesses and the distance between the street light, the next corner, and in the square radius of where they live. And the students were doing that, and they were explaining it to me, very proud. And then it came the moment for Q&A. One student, I remember Juan, from the back, quickly raised his hand. It's like, oh, sure, Juan, what's your name? My name is Juan. The premier, I have a question. Sure, ask me anything. Anything? Okay. How much do you make? I was like, oh. He's not going to make it easy for me.
No way.
And I said, that's a good question. And I explained to him, I said, this is what I did to prepare for the job that I have now that allows me to take my nephews, 4 of them, on vacation once a year, every year to Florida, because that means a lot to me. And he wanted me to get to a number. And I said, the number doesn't really matter. You can look it up and find that number online. Here's my name, first initial, last name. And here's a website where you can find that information. But there's a lot of preparation if you want to be a deputy mayor, independent of the salary. There's a lot of preparation that comes with that. A lot of sacrifice they had to make in order for you to obtain the goal that you have in the dreams that you are aspiring to. You want to be a basketball player, you want to be a podcaster, you want to be an influencer, you have to prepare. Because people talk about luck.
Right.
Right? And fortune. But it's all preparation and opportunity. And when those two things meet, then people call it luck. But there's a lot of things, a lot of steps that I had to take. Some setbacks, some rejections that I had to deal with in order for me to prepare for 11 years to be able to be a deputy mayor.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
The process, right?
Process,
yes. And he wasn't completely convinced, but the moment I told him that where to find the answer, he was like, okay, I got it. I have an iPhone. He asked me, and he would not. He's like, you want to tell me the number? Give me a number. How much? And he was winking. Like, how much? Tell me how much. I won't tell anybody. It was, and he left an impression because he helped me understand that they're thinking about very, very, very deep issues. He's thinking, how can a girl from Bushwick, how can a woman from Bushwick do this job? And if she does, being from Bushwick, how much should you get paid? And it was beautiful. And there are many. We went to school in Washington Heights. That was a beautiful visit. We had some of our New Yorkers, a young girl from Venezuela. And she was sitting almost wrapping herself around her own arms. And she was in the summer rising, and we had some of our summer youth improvement program helping that group of students finish up the project. It was they were building a microscope, and I see the student shy, and I am a body language person. I can sense, pay attention to what the interaction is with the group or the student. And I got next to her, and I spoke to her in English, and then she looked at me with that face that I recognized because I had that face once. And I said, oh, you prefer me if I spoke Spanish? And she said yes, in Spanish. And we had a conversation about her being in a shelter, that her family was there. And I asked her about how she was doing, how was the school making her feel. And she said, this is the best space for me. And then that was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need any more from this visit, because this staff, this team is dedicated to making sure that the most vulnerable student felt like she had a home. And that was priceless.
Right.
Thank you. I have 100 stories to tell. I will stick with those two.
Nah, that's really powerful, because like my next question was gonna ask what were the stories that showed you that I'm making a difference, and I feel like that is a perfect example.
Yeah. When we went to visit the school last month, PS35, we went there, and this young mother was with us at the visit, and she had two students in the program, in our after-school program. And she said, I came from Connecticut. I moved here from Connecticut. And now I didn't have any of those services where I used to live. And now I came to New York, and my 2 children have a space where they're safe, where they're learning, and where they feel at home, and where they're happy to come and spend another 4 extra hours here. And I can then go on and get a job, a full-time job, without having to worry about where my children are. And that is the best way to draw the picture of why I spend 12, 13 hours at City Hall working day in and day out with the most amazing team, the history of teams.
Words, anything, actions really do affect people.
Yes.
And what they do. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember we work with New York City Public Schools, with one of my other agencies, one of my offices, the Office of Child Care and Early Child Education, and I got a phone call, someone telling me that one child care provider in the Bronx wasn't getting paid And I asked, how much do we owe her? And they said, well, $18,000. I was like, I was so embarrassed. I said, I'm embarrassed. I have to give me the phone number of that provider. I'm going to call her and apologize to her on behalf of the entire government, because we have failed her. In a city that has a budget of $100+ billion, and we owe this childcare provider $18,000, is an embarrassment. But the team got to work. 3 days later, we were able to provide that payment. And I received the most beautiful email anybody can ever receive from that provider, explaining what the work that we did for her business, for her family, and for the children that she serves and the families that she serves. Where, adults and families were able to continue the child care provision, the services that they have received in the past, and for them to be contributing to the economy through the work because their child was in a safe environment. It's a full circle. Very gratifying, inspiring, and energizing to come to City Hall every day and do it again and again, because it was rewarding, so rewarding. And it still is every day. I meet people in the street who tell me.
That's good to hear.
Right? Yeah, it's good. Very good.
Another question I have for you is, like, if you could go back in time to your childhood and, like, give yourself advice about your life ahead, what would you tell? What would you say?
Oh, my God. I am a warrior by nature. Like, I just worried. And I learned to understand it. And I will tell myself, just relax for a minute. Just like you said earlier, right? Trust the process. Because I was a very nervous child. I had a very difficult time in high school, very, very difficult time in high school. My first year of high school, and I was very young. I started high school when I was 13. And I think the socialization of a 13-year-old now competing with older teenagers was very difficult. And it wasn't an intellectual problem. It was more a socialization problem. And I remember being stressed out every day and coming home for the first year, every day crying and telling my mom, I don't think I can do this. My mom was like, no, you're not any less than any of those children who are in this intensive program. I completed high school in 3 years because my mom knew that we were going to move, and she didn't want me to have to come into high school and perhaps be held back for a year. And when I started, that process was so difficult, and I wish I had the foresight and the understanding and the ability to tell myself, just calm down, relax, everything is going to be okay. I would have avoided a lot of frustration if I had that foresight. It was I still every once in a while tell myself, just stay still for a minute, just think, take a moment before you think that the whole world's coming down. So just relax.
Right. Because ultimately you'll be fine in the end.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, you'll find your path.
As we wrap up, what advice would you give to a young person as they figure out what they want to do in life and what they want to pursue, especially if they're interested in life as a public servant? Yeah,
okay, good. That's a good question, Ryan. Thank you. And if you allow me to, I can do that in Spanish and English, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I'll do it in English first and then Spanish. 3 things. The first one is, and I grew up in a different world. There are things that young people have to worry about now that I didn't have to worry about. My whole life wasn't on social media. I had the chance to make a decision about what I wanted to post on social media as an adult, full conscientious adult. For our youth, that's different. However, my family makes fun of me because they say that I prepared for this job from the moment I was born. I had never allowed anyone to take a picture of me holding a glass of any kind. I don't care what context is in that glass. And I don't drink alcohol. It's not my thing. Don't like it. Doesn't make me feel good. But then I know that some people do it. So anyone who's near me, who I'm taking a picture with, and this is a year before I got the job. Not in college, not in my previous professional career, jobs that I had. In any social gathering, I wouldn't allow anyone to take a picture with me with anything that resembles a drink. One is out of respect for my parents. Also, it's a safety thing. And 2, because I don't know what that person is going to do with that picture. So controlling my image and making sure that I have whatever control I have, that I execute that control. That's one thing. Be careful what you post on the internet. It's going to follow you for the rest of your life. And people will look back out of all of that. The second one is working hard pays off. You might not see it today. You might not see it tomorrow. But there's always someone watching. Someone watching and paying attention to the good things that you do. And then when that opportunity comes along, they'll remember you. Every job, and I spoke about my job at the factory. I work for Disney. I work at a factory. I work at a tour company. I work for Disney World. I work for the UN. I work for a foundation. I work for the state. And everywhere I went, I left my mark. And everywhere, every job I have, all up to, but not limited to being a deputy mayor, I try my best. And my best, comparing myself to who I was last month, yesterday. And am I doing better today than I did yesterday, than I did last month? Am I being a better, I'm going to say leader? Am I being a better manager? Am I being a better coworker? Am I being a better deputy mayor? Always comparing myself to who I was yesterday and trying to improve on that, and not comparing myself to anyone else because I don't know that person's journey. I have no walk in their shoes. The only shoes I can own are my own. Right. And I'm going to draft that path the best way I can by pushing myself to do my best, which is a lesson my mom taught me. And the third one, when public service makes the call, answer the call. It is great to serve the city. You get to meet incredible people like you, Ryan. You get to serve and change people's life, change life for the macro way where you, in the DYCD, where you help 100,000 summer youth employment program students, or the Summer Rising, 110,000 students, or the 184,000 students that are going to benefit from the after-school program as we embark in our expansion all the way up to 2028. But then there's the work that you do in the micro way, where you get to make someone feel seen and respected and heard by making sure that when you walk into the office, you ask them how they are and you wait for the answer. And you care about that and you carry that every day, because people will always remember, like the author said, Maya Angelou said, right? People will not remember what you did for them or what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And that idea that if you want to be in public service because you want to change the world, you will have that opportunity in the largest scale. But also you can change the world one person at a time by treating people with dignity and with respect. Because just don't get carried away by the title. Understanding that your title is borrowed and you're going to have to live with yourself without that title for the rest of your life. Y la pregunta fue que cuál sería mi consejo o mis consejos para la juventud. Y empecé diciendo que desde joven, sin saberlo, sin darme cuenta, yo me preparé para esta oportunidad. Que nunca permití que nadie me tomara una foto con ningún tipo de bebida, sea a mi lado o que yo tenga un vaso. Y eso sin importar lo que el vaso conteniera. Porque yo entendía que una imagen pública o publicada en el internet o en las redes sociales se puede usar en contra de usted en cualquier momento. Y que el internet tiene una memoria como un elefante. Que esa imagen, ese post, ese comentario nunca se puede borrar del internet. Mucho cuidado con lo que publican en el internet, y que yo tuve la facilidad de que viví mi mayor parte de mi juventud sin tener que preocuparme de lo que se había publicado sobre mí en el internet. Los jóvenes de ahora tienen esa preocupación y tienen que asegurarse de que lo que pongan en el internet, ellos puedan responder por ello o corregirlo. Y que si hay alguna foto o alguna imagen que no les guste, que tengan cuidado a ver cómo pueden quizás quitarla, removerla y tener mucha conciencia de lo que publican en el internet. El segundo consejo fue que el trabajo fuerte, el trabajo arduo, da resultado. Que la idea de que existe lo que es la dicha o la fortuna es simplemente cuando se unen la idea de la preparación y la oportunidad. La preparación viene, además, por el trabajo fuerte, por la dedicación y por tratar de ser la mejor persona, el mejor empleado, la mejor vicealcaldesa, la mejor manager que yo podría ser. Cada día me comparaba con mí misma, con quien yo era el día anterior y no con quien alguien más es hoy, porque no tengo ni idea de la vida que esa persona tuvo o ha tenido, y los sacrificios y los esfuerzos que esa persona ha hecho para lograr llegar donde está. Yo solamente puedo hablar de mi ejemplo y puedo hablar de lo que me ha costado a mí llegar a donde estoy. Y sé que eso ha sido a través de trabajo arduo y del entendimiento de que no debo compararme con nadie más, sino tratar de siempre avanzar y de mejorar quien yo soy día a día. No solo quién soy hoy, pero quién fui ayer y quién quiero ser mañana, y prepararme al respecto. Hubo un tercero, y de que estén preparados, ¿verdad? El trabajo arduo, el tratar de ser mejor quien yo soy, cuidar mi imagen pública, y después que puedan, cuando el servicio público te llame, conteste la llamada. Que ser un servidor público es un regalo inmenso, que tienes la oportunidad de cambiar miles y cientos de miles de vidas, como hacemos acá en el Departamento de Juventud y Desarrollo Comunitario, DYCD, por sus siglas en inglés. Y la idea es que acá servimos 110,000 niños en el programa de Summer Rising, 100,000 jóvenes en el programa de empleo de verano. Y vamos ahora a ayudar a más de 184,000 jóvenes en los programas extracurriculares. Y que eso sí es cambiar el mundo de una forma macro. Cientos de miles, mencioné casi 500,000 de estudiantes y de jóvenes que vamos a ayudar. Pero también cambiar el mundo en la forma micro. Cambiar el mundo para las personas con quienes tú tienes contacto día a día. Las personas que te traen el café, la persona que limpia la oficina, el seguridad de la oficina. Yo llego a mi oficina y hablo español con mis colegas y les demuestro que para mí ellos son igual de importantes, y si no más importantes, que mis colegas que son vicealcaldes o el alcalde él mismo, quien siempre se ha preocupado de asegurarse que todo el mundo en City Hall, en la alcaldía, sin importar el título, sean vistos y respetados en la alcaldía. Y para mí eso es más que un honor. Gracias.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I guess we can say we're a bilingual podcast.
Yes, right?
Officially, as we wrap up, anything else that you would like to say or leave with us before we wrap up this episode?
I do. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the entire team at DYCD for being so supportive, for welcoming my team and I with open arms, for accepting our shortcoming, for accepting all the things that we're able to change, and for challenging us for the things that we couldn't and that might have taken a bit longer. I am in debt to Commissioner Howard for always being the best colleague anybody can ask for. I want to thank our young people, the people of New York City, the ones who are holding the future on their shoulders, for giving me the opportunity to serve them, and that I hope I serve them well. I hope that I represent them well. And I am thankful for having the opportunity to have the best job in the history of jobs. And that to me, it wasn't a job, it was a calling, that I got to serve the city that gave my family and I everything when we got here, with nothing but a bucket of dreams and hopes. Thank you so very much for having me, Ryan.
Of course. Thank you for coming to the show.
Absolutely.
And that concludes today's discussion. For more information on DYCD, check out nyc.gov/DYCD. Or be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And then just one more thing before we go. As stated before, this is the final episode of the year, and this is the 1-year anniversary of this podcast. So I would like to take a moment to thank all the guests who are on the podcast this year, and I would like to give a huge shout out to Mark, who does our audio.
That's right,
making sure that everything sounds great and assisting with developing ideas and scripts. So thank you so much for that. I would also like to thank the entire communications team on the video and graphics side for keeping everything running as smoothly as possible with these videos and helping us get these episodes out in a timely manner. I truly couldn't do this without your hard work and dedication. And of course, thank you to all our viewers and listeners for tuning in this year. Your support means everything to us, and we appreciate you for being a part of this journey. And we'll see you next month in 2026.
That's right. Happy holidays, indeed.
Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.